think it's pretty fair to say that Instagrammers take photos of some pretty interesting things in order to get a few more likes, right? Do you agree with that? But one photographer by the name of Dan Schauman is on a mission to photograph the most unique, beautiful, and well, just plain weird, I guess, bathrooms. So you spent a lot of time in the can after photographing thousands of toilets across 5 continents. Dan joins me now in studio. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Is that fair to say? You giggled when I said you'd spent a lot of time in the can.
I do spend a lot of time in the can, specifically to take photos of them.
Of course. Now, okay, why toilets? That's the obvious first question.
I guess most people see toilets as this kind of everyday, mundane necessity. But over the course of the last couple of years, while I've been doing this photo blog, I've noticed that actually toilets can be very interesting, and they have this kind of that they can be this platform for artwork in a way, and that's something that I'd really like to show off to people.
And so you just one day just said, okay, I'm going to take a picture of this one and see what
Pretty much.
Goes?
Yeah, it all started about 6 years ago, actually, when Instagram first started to become popular and photo sharing started to become popular. I noticed that anyone could take a photo of anything.
Where's that?
That one is actually in a bar in Halifax.
Oh.
I think it was called BDSM Bar. Yeah, that's an amazing toilet, that one. But anyone can take a photo of anything, and they post it onto Instagram and they get likes. So as a joke, I thought I'd take a photo of a toilet, post it up, and just see if it would get likes. And indeed it did, and I kind of followed on with that theme over the following months.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so toilography.
Toilography, so toilet photography.
Is this you coined this?
I coined this, exactly, yeah.
Well, it's very clever, and it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Okay, so how do you source these toilets? It's not like you just, you're in a city, you just walk in and then you start taking pictures. You actually research and find these places.
I certainly do. I do a fair amount of travel, and before I go to a city, I usually go online to places like Reddit, and I'll actually crowdsource and get people's suggestions as for the most interesting washrooms that I can find in the city. And then usually what I do is I'll plan my travels around these interesting bars and restaurants.
Wow,
this one was in one of the museums in Washington, D.C., actually.
Wow.
Are
these all usable toilets that you're photographing?
This one in particular, no, this is a bit of a vintage one, I think, from the early 1900s, but the majority of them are usable.
What would we be surprised to learn when you're looking at toilets and different versions of all over the world?
Oh, there's just so many different types. I mean, every continent has their own way of kind of shaping the toilets. And I mean, look at this one this is actually a restaurant in Vancouver, where they've commissioned a street artist from Spain called Oli Munster to paint the walls of the washroom. Yeah.
And you make a good point because, you know, oftentimes you think of the bathroom as like if you own a restaurant or an establishment, a bar, restaurant, that type of thing, that they used to be kind of an afterthought.
Yep.
Right? And now they become, for some people and for some establishments, like a focal point where people actually, it's a destination.
Exactly. And that's what I see them as. I literally go to interesting places that have interesting toilets. And I find that they're generally the most interesting places that I go to visit along my travels as well.
Okay, but let's be honest. I'm sure you've gone into a couple and been like, "This is disgusting."
There's been a few.
Like that?
Well, that was not.
I feel like these are like
disgusting.
my camping days.
That was actually at the top of a mountain in Montpelier, Vermont.
Ooh.
It's a bit of an outhouse they had there. But I have seen some gross ones. I don't really focus on
What is that?
It's actually sawdust. So the idea is you do your business and you put the sawdust in afterwards. Yeah.
That's very kind.
I don't really focus so much on the dirty ones. I kind of look for the more interesting.
Of course. And okay, so your favorite toilet that you've ever photographed?
It's probably actually a month ago. I was in the Guggenheim Museum in New York, and they actually had there a 18-karat gold toilet as an exhibition.
I've seen this picture, and it's used, like people use this.
It's usable. You can actually line up, and there's a security guard who sits by the front door, and you get to go in and use it just like any other toilet.
When do you ever get security when you're going to the bathroom?
Exactly, yeah.
I bet you feel pretty fancy on that.
You do. The idea of this artwork is that it allows people who aren't necessarily part of that top 1% to experience something that the top 1%.
I feel like Trump may have one of these in the Trump
I'm sure
Tower.
He's got a couple of them.
He's got a lot of gold going on there.
Yeah.
What do people say? How do people react to you telling them what you are up to?
I think most people think it's a bit weird and they're a little bit stupefied. Like, why would this guy take photos of toilets?
Which you can understand.
Kind of disgusting. I understand it, but then when I show them the photos they actually take, they can see that they are actually genuinely interesting loos.
It absolutely is. Oh, what's that one?
This is so my brother Jay works in Western Queensland for the railways, and he actually sent me this photo of a toilet that was just by the side of the railway track.
And so you now have, like, not only are you doing this, you've got your family in on this.
I do, yeah.
And I'm sure people send it to you as well.
They certainly do, yeah. So
really, really neat. So what does your toilet look like at home?
It's actually a normal toilet, but
it's normal.
But when Honest Ed's closed down, I bought a sign like an advertisement for toilet rolls.
Yeah.
And I put that on top of my toilet. So I've got a little bit of Toronto history in
Look
in
at
my
that.
bathroom. So,
He's fancy.
yeah.
Okay, I love it. It's such an interesting topic. Okay, so if you want to see more pictures, you can obviously, we'll direct you to your blog and to your Instagram account from our site, yourmorning.ca. Dan, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
And take a quick break, if you know what I mean.